Hey guys, so today we're going to be editing a double exposure. So I'm going to be showing you how to put two images together. Number one, because it's going to look really cool, but also because we're going to be using it as a reference for our double exposure project. And I think seeing the two images together will be really helpful for you in getting the values and the shapes and making sure everything's in the right spot and the way that you want it. So we're going to be using Photopea today. The first thing I'm going to do is open my silhouette shape, and I'm going to be using a lotus flower today because they're one of my favorites and they symbolize new beginnings. Okay. When you look for your picture, your photograph that you're going to use, try to find one that has a lot of contrast. So this one works well because the background is very different from the object. We're going to be removing the background. So, getting rid of the background is hard to do if there's not a lot of contrast. So definitely look for one where there is that. Okay, so lots of ways to do this. One way, if you don't have a lot of contrast, would just be to use this eraser tool. It's kind of tedious, but you could go in and you could erase, all the little parts. There's also a brush size adjuster, so like you can get it smaller, bigger, whatever you need to do to be able to erase properly. However, it's definitely not the easiest way. So if you have a lot of contrast like I do, you can use the quick selection brush, which is this guy right here. And if you do that, because there's contrast, I should be able to click on my image and voila, it already picks up the pixels that I want, which is fabulous. So that would be great. And then if I do that, I can go to select and inverse it. And now I have the whole background selected. So I can make changes to the background or I can just get rid of it, which is what I wanted to do anyway. I'm going to go backwards though and show you one other way that you can do it. So I'm going to deselect. The other tool that's really fabulous is the Magic Cut tool. So if you hit Magic Cut, again, this works best with contrast. But if you select Magic Cut, it'll bring your image up and it should cut it out for you. Sorry, my Chromebook's a little slow right now. I'm not quite sure what's going on. Come on. There we go. Okay, so that picked up a lot more of the image than I was hoping for. So I think in this situation, normally like it would just take it all out. So I'm not digging that. But it works really well for some images. So I think my best option in this case is to use the selection tool. So that's what I'm going to go with. And you can go with the option that ends up working best for your image. Another thing that I can do with the selection tool is I can go to refine edge, which is kind of nice because I can soften my edge a little bit. So I'm going to go over here and choose a softer transition. Okay. All right, so now I have my first image and I'm going to make a couple adjustments to it to use it for the project. So I'm going to go to image adjustments and I'm going to take it to black and white. And then just because I'm picky, I'm going to also go to image adjustments and adjust my contrast so that you can really see all of the petals distinctly. Okay, I just like that a little bit better. So that's a personal preference on my part. Okay, so now that I have my image removed and it's in black and white, it's time to put in my other image that's going to end up filling my first image. And I think also though, before I do that, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger and center it on the page. There we go. And once I'm happy with that, I'm going to hit enter to tell the program that I'm happy and that's where I want it. Okay, now I'm going to go to open in place. And I don't want to do open because if I do open, it's going to open a brand new project and I want something that's going to go in this project. So open in place. And I'm going to be putting a night sky I called it moon sky background into this. So let me find it. Lots of pictures. Okay, called it moon sky. Here it is, moon sky. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and put that in. Fabulous, okay. And so I'm gonna move that over my lotus flower, and then I'm actually gonna make it bigger so that my whole lotus flower ends up having the moon sky photo in it. I'm gonna kind of move it over a little bit. I think it got stretched. So I'm gonna fix the proportions just a little bit. There we go. Okay, and the whole image is covered, so that's good. I'm gonna move it over just a little bit. Okay, so now I have both my images. I have the background removed. So what I wanna do is cut out all of this extra background, but I want it to be in the shape of my lotus flower. So here's where it gets a little interesting. So I'm gonna eyeball off of my moon and go back to my lotus flower. And I'm going to use that selection tool again. And since I've already removed the background, it should pick up all of my pixels pretty easily. Oh no. I'm gonna edit undo and try that again. I'm gonna do deselect. Let's try that one more time. Okay, well, I'm getting this part. Oh darn. Getting a little bit more than I wanted. No worries though. I'm gonna come in with the minus tool and clean that up a little bit so that I only have what I want. There we go. Okay. So now that I have my lotus flower selected, I'm going to go back to my moon layer. Do you see how now I can see the shape of the lotus flower? Okay, so what I want to get rid of is all of this extra, this background, right? So I'm going to go to select inverse, and now I can get rid of that background. So I'll hit backspace. And it says I need to rasterize. So if that happens to you, all you need to do is go to layer and rasterize. Okay, backspace and voila, now I have it in the shape of the lotus. But it's still kind of hard to understand that it's a lotus flower because of all the petals and things going on the inside. So here's where I get to be kind of picky and decide how I really want the image to look. So I'm actually going to go to the opacity, which means how see-through something is, and I'm going to bring the opacity down so that I can see both images, both the flower and the moon at the same time. And I can decide, if I just want to see a little hint of the moon or if I want to see a little hint of the flower. That's really up to me and what I want to do. So I think I like it like that. I like seeing a little bit of the flower and a little bit of the moon. Okay, and I still have this transparent background, so I'm going to fix that. I'm going to deselect that background, and I'm going to go to layer and make a new fill layer so I just have a white background. Okay, and then right now my white background is over my image. I don't want that, so I'm going to drag it underneath. Voila. Okay. And I do notice like a few little tiny things. Like I'm noticing this little piece that I might want to use like my eraser and erase. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I think it looks pretty cool. So anyway, that's how you create a double exposure. Now, once you've made it and you're happy with it, you can go to File and go to Export As and save it as a JPEG. And then that way you'll have it on your Chromebook. And then you can put it in a doc, you can print it off. You can use it as a really nice reference tool. So anyway, I hope you create something interesting and have fun working in Photopea. And I'm excited to see, your double exposures and the drawings that result from that. So, all right, talk to you guys later.